Carrie here, and thank you so much for joining me for another weekly dose of inspiration to help you to build a successful business. So, have you ever put together a marketing campaign and worked really hard on the sales copy and then put it out to the world and then been so disappointed because it's not had the response that you wanted? It didn't attract the clients that you really wanted it to attract. Well, if this has happened to you, don't worry, because I think it happens to most of us. But we have got something amazing for you today, because we are joined by Nikki Elledge-Brown, who is the communication stylist, and she is going to be sharing some amazing tips and strategies for how you can attract your ideal client through your copy. So Nikki, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
So obviously, I think this is something that so many entrepreneurs struggle with. I know that I have, and it's so disheartening when you work so hard on putting something together, when you've got a marketing campaign and you're putting all together the copy for the sales page and for anything else you're putting out there, and then you just don't get the response you were hoping for. It's so disheartening. But what are the mistakes that people are making when it just goes wrong and it doesn't convert at all?
I mean, there are so many mistakes that we can make, but I think the number one mistake I see people making is, well, there are a few. One is just being way too formal and stiff, or in any way being other than they actually are. So sometimes it is like they're too in your face, and it's like all the exclamation points and the red text, and that, like, I feel like I'm marketing, so I have to be this way. You totally don't have to be. So sometimes people turn it up way too much. Sometimes people try to get way too clever and way too creative because they feel like I have to be this witty, charismatic, whatever. And that's cool if that's who you are. But if that's not how you are, then people, even if they don't know you, can kind of pick up on that. Like, we can kind of tell when somebody's really being who they are or they're not. So you could be way too markety and intense because you feel like you have to be like an infomercial in order to get anything sold. You could be way too creative and fluff, like, you know, a little too far out there to where people just don't understand what you're saying. Or you could just be way too flat, like you're not turning it up at all, and your passion for what you're offering really isn't coming through, and that's not good either.
Yeah,
so.
I've definitely been guilty of probably all of those things in the past.
Yeah,
on my entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
But what are the things that people can do to write copy that is going to help them to attract their ideal clients?
My number one thing is to be yourself, and I call it smart, authentic communication. And this is like my jam. I love it. I say it, I'm like a broken record, and I say it all the time, but smart, authentic communication. Here's why I think smart and authentic are the powerful magic combination. Because smart meaning thoughtful, purposeful, intentional, like you actually know what you're doing, you know who you're talking to and what you're talking to them about. Smart could also be taken to the point of almost calculated and cold and manipulative, unless you match it with the authentic piece and the real you, how you really are, to where you're actually writing and speaking like your mom and your best friend or your husband would be like, oh my gosh, I can totally hear you saying that. The authentic piece without the smart piece can feel really like self-indulgent and just like selfies. It's like the word selfie, you know, where it's like, it's all about me, so I'm just going to tell you all my stuff, and there's nothing helpful or valuable for you because I'm just going to show you who I am. If you don't match the two, then you're imbalanced. But when you can put smart with authentic, then I think it's just a really powerful combination, because you can know that you're going to show up as you are, but you're also going to communicate in a way that's really helping these people understand exactly what your value is, exactly what you have to offer, and why it's so you, and why you were born to offer it. And so that's the powerful combination. But with my clients and with my students, I kind of see it in like 3 phases. So the first phase is to speak directly to your dream clients. And I call them dream clients. I don't know why. I just made that up when I had 2 of them last year. Now I've had over 200 of them. But I think that it's important to speak directly to them. But in order to speak directly to them, there's a lot to that process. So you have to obviously know what you want to say, meaning you have to know what you want to offer. You have to know why you want to offer it, how you want to offer it, and to whom you want to offer it. So there's a lot, and it sounds simple, like just ask yourself these questions, but there's a lot of digging and work that you have to do to figure all of that out. And so once you know what you want to offer, and once you know why you want to offer it, and you really think about, like, who has this problem that I would really love to work with? Because you could be getting sales, but from the wrong people. Mm-hmm. And so while that stinks to have somebody ask for a refund or something because they're like, this was not for me, there's always a silver lining to it, because that's helping you refine who your actual dream clients are. And you're like, okay, now I see exactly what it was where we missed it. Now I know that's definitely not the right person for me, but this person is, so I'm going to speak even more directly to those people. And the easiest way to find out how they speak and how they describe the problem you're solving is just to straight up ask them. So I recommend doing surveys. You could do like Wufoo or SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, or you could just ask on a Facebook status, how would you describe your biggest challenge with, in my case, communicating with your dream clients? How would you describe your biggest frustration with losing the last 10 pounds or whatever? And then literally just start a copy bank. And so it's literally, I call it a copy bank because you're just kind of storing it away. You can keep it in a Google Doc somewhere, but you actually have their language, because that's how you can connect. That's the smart piece. That's how you connect with them, is right off the top of any page. You're describing their problem in their words, and that's getting their attention to know, okay, she's talking to me. I don't know how she got in my head like that, but she's talking to me, and that's huge. So that's the whole first step of speaking directly to them and attracting them, bringing them in. The second step of the 3 is the big mama. It's like, this is really where the magic happens, which is to inspire meaningful engagement, because it's not enough just to like, hey, look at me, get my attention. Now you actually have to engage and build that relationship, and this is really where the smart, authentic communication comes in, because this is like your homepage copy, and it's inviting them into your home and letting them know, hey, come on in, look around. You don't want to have the whole conversation in the entryway of your home, but you want to invite them in so they know where to look. Your about page, telling your story and explaining how you can help them. It's not just about you on your about page. It's really about presenting the value and why they should want to stick around and check out more of your stuff. It's the regular content. It's your blog questions that you're asking so that they actually can comment back. If you want answers, you have to ask good questions. It's your social media stuff. It's your emails. It's how you're engaging and really interacting with your clients once you're working with them, after you're working with them. All of that is building your know, like, and trust factor, and credibility is everything. Like, that's the most amazing thing to me online. With all of these clients who have purchased from me, or like now my students, we've exchanged value in such a tangible way, but we've never met. It felt like a one-sided blind date. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're paying me hundreds of dollars. You've never met me. Like, I could be crazy. But they know that, they know I am a little crazy, but they know, and they know, like, and trust me from this second step of that meaningful engagement. And that's huge. That's everything, because you've got to have that credibility with people in order for them to feel comfortable with the third step, which is motivating them to purchase, inspiring them to really feel comfortable exchanging their hard-earned value, their money with you. And that's the whole point, that's why we're in business, not about the money, but like, hey, here's what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. This is like my calling in the world, and I want to offer it to people. And that, again, comes in the form of money, but it's not all about that. But in order to set the stage to help them feel comfortable purchasing, I break it down into 4 different things. Like, most people feel comfortable if they see clear value. So obviously they have to need whatever it is that you're offering. If you set really clear expectations, and so you know exactly how the process works of selling it, buying it, booking it, this is what's going to happen before, during, after. There's like no micro anxiety. We know exactly what to expect. Credibility is also a huge part, because if they've seen your content over time, and they know, she knows what she's talking about. I trust her to help me solve this problem. And then the last really cool, warm and fuzzy part is just straight intuition. Sometimes people just know. I could learn something similar from 10 different people, 100 different people, 1,000 different people. But I want to learn it from Carrie, because I know and I like and I trust her. I just get the right vibe. I get the right energy. And sometimes people just make a decision based on that. Like, I had people buy my course before I had anything up to really even tell them about it. I just was like, hey, I feel like I'm supposed to put a PayPal link in this email because somebody's ready to buy. And my first 5 students bought the course before I even could tell them anything about it, other than it was going to be about copy, And that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's dream client. They trust you. They know whatever it is, I'm on board, and that's amazing. So that's the whole process in 3 simple steps. That, again, there's so much to go into for each of those, but I think it's all about speaking to your dream clients directly, inspiring that meaningful engagement, and then helping them feel comfortable, motivating them to purchase.
I could sit and listen to you talk all day long. You've just come out with the most amazing tips in the most succinct way. So thank you so much for sharing them. They're absolutely amazing. They're so powerful. Like, everything you were talking about, it sets people apart. Like it definitely does. Like you see it when you look into the marketplace of people that are doing what you were saying and following and doing it consciously. So it's strategic. They're intentionally doing it, and it makes such a massive difference in how they've got that interaction engagement with their audience. It's so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. If you want to find out more about Nikki, then head over to her website. I've put all of her details over on the blog. She also has a free training at the moment, so definitely go and check that out. I am sure it's wonderful because what you just shared is absolutely wonderful, so thank you. But I would also love to hear what you think about this too. Is it something you struggle with? Is writing copy something you struggle with? Head over to the blog and leave a comment, and I will see you next week for another dose of inspiration.